Why hiring a criminal defense attorney simply because they are the cheapest is stupid. Let's go. My name is Veronica. I am a criminal defense attorney here in Los Angeles, and I help people who have been arrested put their criminal cases behind them so that they can enjoy their lives and their freedom. And again, this video is about why it is, I'm sorry, I can't say it in a nicer way, why it is stupid to hire a criminal defense attorney simply because they are the cheapest. Now, notice I didn't say that it's stupid to hire a criminal defense attorney who is the cheapest. It's stupid to make that the deciding factor, okay? And look, I am in LA. I know people from around actually the world, according to YouTube, seem to stumble upon these videos, but I'll use the example of a plastic surgeon, right? Let's say you are going to get a nose job, and your method of figuring out which surgeon to give this task to is to call around, and the first question you ask, in fact, the only question you ask is, hey, I want a nose job. How much does it cost? How much do you guys charge? What kind of nose do you think you are going to come up with? Now, in that case, let's say that you have limited funds. Everybody has limited resources. Everyone in the whole world, even Elon Musk, we all have limited resources, right? They stop somewhere, and we do want to find value. Let's say that you decided, you know what, I'm going to go to another country where getting nose jobs is cheaper. Overall, it's going to be cheaper. Here in LA, I know some people go to Tijuana. And you go there, you talk to a doctor, and he's actually very highly skilled, very highly trained, but of course he's in an area with a lower cost of living, and so therefore it is cheaper, and you choose him, and he actually does end up being the cheapest plastic surgeon. Perhaps then you get the nose that you actually wanted. But calling in LA, calling every plastic surgeon and going with the cheapest one is not going to probably get you the nose of your dreams. It is the same for criminal defense attorneys. I get people all the time who the first question that they ask, even the receptionist, is how much does it cost for, whatever, here's my charge. And I do understand that you may not want to, like, let's say a typical nose job is, I don't know, $10,000. I don't know how much they are. But you don't want to, if the answer is $50,000 when you first call, maybe you don't want to continue the conversation. But for criminal defense attorneys, most of us charge around the same rate. I mean, there are outliers that are low and high. I know for a trial that I thought is going to cost at least 200 hours, someone quoted my client a much lower amount. And I mean, all I can figure there is that person is probably not planning to spend much time on the case, probably not planning to spend all those hours that I thought should be spent in order to get a good outcome. So really what you should be doing is, it's not, of course you want to know how much a service costs. Is it possible for you to afford it? But really what you should be looking for is, do I trust this person? I think that that's number one. If you don't trust the person, it is a non-starter. I think for a criminal defense attorney, it is so hard to tell, even if you, during your case, let's say, your attorney says you should take a deal. How are you going to get a good second opinion on that? It's really difficult to do that because nobody else, unless you actually hire them, is going to know your case as well as that attorney. So trust is huge. Trust is number one. Do you trust that person or their law firm? Do you trust them? You trust that they will do a good job for you, that they're being straight with you. I think that that's number one. Number two is, I've heard of some cases where the amount that the law firm is charging for the amount of work required, when it's very obvious the amount of work required, like writing a letter and sending a packet of information somewhere. One guy told me an attorney quoted him $15,000 for that. I mean, that's like 1 hour of work. So sometimes there is some price gouging, and I suppose that sometimes those attorneys just sort of figure, well, you know, some people are going to take me up on it. Some people, they'll just go with the first person they call and take me up on it. So you want to avoid that, but I think it's important to talk to a few people, see who you trust, and then from there, the second thing you probably want to look for is, what kind of plan do they have for your case? Some people will ask me, how many cases like my case have you handled? I see where they're going with that, and that's a fine thing to ask, but I think really what you're looking for is what is their plan and does it sound reasonable and solid. I think experience is good too, yes, but I also find that there is a balance. I mean, baby me starting out, and I've seen other attorneys, baby attorneys who are like this too. I mean, we don't have I've been doing this for almost 10 years, but we didn't have the experience, right? You may not have the experience, but you try so hard to make up for that. And then there are attorneys who have the experience, but they aren't trying anymore. They're sick of it. They're tired. So you want to find someone who does seem, enthusiastic about your case, about like they like life, they like their job in general. I think that's important, and you feel like they are going to put the effort into your case. And I have had multiple people who tell me that they are not hiring me because they found someone cheaper, and sometimes it'll be much cheaper. And I just tell them, okay, well, I mean, I would like to help you with this case, but my quote to you is based on the amount of time that I think is necessary to get you the best possible result in this case. So, if you want to go based on price, you can go with the other guy. I don't think that that's a good idea, but they do. They go with the other guy. Multiple of those people come back to me and say, hey, I'm not liking this attorney. Sometimes it's because the case isn't going well. Sometimes it's because they never trusted them in the first place, frankly. Because sometimes they'll see what the attorney is doing and I think it was okay. But there was just never that trust established in the first place. And so they'll hire me. And they've already paid that other attorney. Now they have to hire me. There's no discount for starting later in the case. It's actually sometimes takes more work because there's more to review. Now the attorney has done some things but not others. I'm trying to figure out what's been done, what hasn't. Sometimes I'm having to argue some other attorneys' sometimes poorly crafted motion. So there's no discount for that. And they pay the other guy and they're probably not getting a refund. And even worse than that, because that's money, right? Money. Yes, you trade time for money. We work hard for our money. Yes, but the worst thing really is when sometimes that attorney has mucked things up so the case now is in a worse place than it ever should have been. Like they'll start negotiating with the DA without doing anything to gain any leverage. Like at the first court date, they're like, hey, give me an offer. Can I have an offer? And then it makes it obvious to the DA that the client is, whether it's true or not, it makes it seem like to the DA that the client is not going to fight the case. They're just going to take the first offer. And so then when I come in a while later, the DA still has that same idea. It doesn't matter if it's me or the other attorney because they think it's the client who just wants to take the first offer. So now that leverage of like, hey, I take cases to trial, I fight, it's impacted by that. And sometimes, even worse, the DAs will anchor high when they hear, hey, can I get an offer at the first court date when the attorney has not even read the police report, has no clue about the case. Sometimes the DA will give a really bad offer. And now we're working with that offer and trying to come down from that instead of first trying to weaken the case and then say, hey, look, I have these motions filed, or hey, look, your witnesses, we have all these inconsistencies here. This is what my client will take, or now can I have an offer? And then it can be, it's hard to say because we can't really see what would have happened if I had been there from the beginning. We can't see this alternate reality. But in my opinion, allowing them to anchor high at the beginning can significantly damage the result that you end up with. So anyway, I hope that this video was helpful. Again, if you have limited funds, you find an attorney that you think is a fighter, even without a whole lot of experience, someone you trust, then I'm not saying don't hire that person just because they may be the cheapest, right? Their rate may be to compensate for their lack of experience. So I'm not saying don't hire that person. I'm just saying, don't call around and then when you hear the lowest quote, just go and hire that person. Don't do that. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful. If you do have a criminal case in Los Angeles, feel free to give me a call. My phone number is below, and you can also book a consultation with me directly right down below.